So is Littleton or Lakewood better? But here's the problem. Most people are comparing the wrong things. And that's exactly how you end up in the wrong area. Because on paper, these two can look really similar. But how you actually live in each one, well, that's completely different. So how do you know which one is right for you? If you're relocating to the Denver area, or even just moving within it, this is one of the most important decisions that you're going to make. And not because of the house, but because of your day-to-day life, your commute, your weekends, how easy it is to get where you actually want to go. And here's what I see all the time. People compare price, square footage, maybe commute, but they don't realize the differences in geography, in layout, and access. Until they've already moved. Might be too late, right? So in this video, I'm going to break down the real measurable differences between Littleton and Lakewood. So this way you can confidently decide which one actually fits your lifestyle. Now here's where a lot of people get tripped up right away. When you search Littleton, you're not always looking at the same thing because Littleton is a city, a mailing address, and it spans across 3 counties: Arapahoe, Jefferson, and Douglas. So 2 homes within Littleton address can have different property taxes, different services, and even a different overall feel. Now Lakewood, on the other hand, is almost entirely in Jefferson County. So what you see is much more consistency. Quick question for you. When you say Littleton, are you thinking about the actual city or just the zip code? Because that difference matters more than most people expect. Now let's talk about access to the mountains and the outdoors, of course. This is one of the biggest lifestyle differences, and it's measurable. When you map this out, for most West Lakewood neighborhoods, you're about 5 to 10 minutes from trailheads, and you're roughly 10 to 15 minutes to I-70, which is your main corridor into the mountains. Now in Littleton, it really depends on where you are. For central Littleton, you're usually about 10 to 20 minutes to the trailheads. A little bit farther south, that can stretch closer to 20 to 30 minutes. And to get to I-70, you're typically going through C-470 first, and then you're going to connect north. So it may add another layer of time for you. And just for context, I live in Littleton a little bit more north near Bear Creek Lake Park. So I'm in this area all the time. From here, I can be at Red Rocks Amphitheater in about 10 minutes, which is a really good example of how quickly you can get into the foothills from this part of town. But that's not true for all of Littleton. So here's the real question. Are you planning to get into the mountains during the week? Or maybe it's just more of a weekend thing for you? Because that answer changes which location in Littleton makes more sense. Now let's talk about proximity to downtown Denver. When you map this out, Lakewood sits about 7 to 10 miles from downtown. Littleton, well, it's more like 12 to 15 miles. And southern Littleton, it can be 20 miles or more. So typical drive times look like this. Lakewood, about 15 minutes to 25 minutes without traffic. Not likely. Littleton, about 20 to 35 minutes and longer from the south. Now, Lakewood also has more direct east-west routes and multiple access points into the city, where Littleton often funnels through Santa Fe or C-470. So think about this. Where do you need to be at 8:30 on a Tuesday morning? Because that daily pattern matters more than the weekend drive. Now let's talk about the airport because this one adds up over time. When you map the drive to DIA, from Lakewood, you're typically looking at about 35 to 50 minutes. And from Littleton, it's more like 40 to 60 minutes. And everything depends on traffic. And from the southern parts of Littleton, that can push 60 to 70 minutes or more. That extra 15 to 20 minutes might not seem like a big deal until you're doing it regularly. Now, let's talk about housing and how these areas actually feel. Lakewood tends to have more variation. You see the variation from block to block, and a large portion of homes were built in the 1950s through the 1970s. And you'll see multiple commercial areas spread throughout. Littleton, on the other hand, feels more segmented, with more defined pockets. And you'll see a wider mix of housing, depending on where you are. And this is especially between historic Littleton, Jefferson County areas, and Douglas County areas. So the question here is, do you want something that feels more consistent Or are you open to more variation if it gives you flexibility? Now, when it comes to pricing differences between Littleton and Lakewood, that's something that shifts month to month. So instead of throwing out numbers that could be outdated pretty quickly, I break that down in my monthly market update videos. And I use real current data so that you can see exactly what's happening right now in West Denver. So let's simplify this. Lakewood may be a better fit depending on your priorities. If you want faster access to the mountains, need closer proximity to downtown, or if you prefer more direct driving routes. And Littleton may be a better fit depending on your priorities. If you want a wider range of housing options, you are okay with a slightly longer drive for certain things, or you like more defined community pockets. At the end of the day, this isn't about which one is better. It's about which one makes your life easier. Because once you're here, that's what you feel like every single day. And if you're still trying to figure out which area fits your lifestyle best, make sure you watch my video on the best places to live in West Denver. Or be sure to check out the latest market update to see what's happening right now with pricing. And if you're thinking about making a move, I help people navigate this every day. Until then, remember, life is short, live somewhere awesome, and be well. We'll see you next time.